To the 2 Point Conversion, our Monday night pregame show here on the Going for Two Live network. It's actually going to be our final episode since it is the last Monday Night Football of the regular season. Here we are in Week 17. I am one of your hosts, Kyle Senra, and I just like to keep in the same order, even if it doesn't follow the order on the screen. Joining me is Gladys. How you doing, GLT?
I have a new podcast chair, so my life is really good. My sister and my brother-in-law got it for me for Christmas, and I love
Shout
it.
out to T.
So shout out to TV and, whatever her husband's name is. I mean, his name is Lewis, but I don't know what his name is on social media.
I suppose Lewis is such a cool name, you don't need a nickname, right?
Right, exactly. That's what it is. But actually, my sister put it together today, so.
Aw.
Damn, full service. You gotta love that. You can't beat that.
Speaking of nicknames, I guess Dan, that's one of those names where you just can't resist putting nicknames, right? Whether it's Discord Dan.
Swiss Miss, baby.
Yeah, Swiss Miss, the newest one, as he's returned from Switzerland. Did you have 3 overtime wins in the World Juniors like the Swiss? Oh, wait, yeah, I guess you're not a hockey player. You're a soccer and rugby player. Never mind. Thomas the Tank Engine, Promo Pimp. It's the B-League Says.
Wow, I'm feeling good. I feel like the nicknames tell a story throughout the year, so I like to let it go. I think it tells a story. This is where we've come.
It's a big
you
trade.
You should have hashtag New York Giants in playoffs, too. That should be your last hashtag.
G-Man, Big Blue, giddy up, let's go.
G-Man.
That's how it is.
Yep, let's go. Just like the Back Row Giants show intro. I love it.
There we go. That was a long intro. That was a 3-minute intro. That was good. It's a long intro.
I don't remember anything other than DeAndre Baker rants.
There's some good ones. There was some good ones, but it's okay. But hey, listen, Giants are in the playoffs. Fantasy football's come to an end, thank God. I could be happier. It's great. It's all right. We could still get some pretty good prop bets on, so stick with me through the playoffs. Friday nights, 8:30, B-League Pick'em Show. Underdog promo. GF 200% matching deposit up to $100. Cheers, no worries. Thank you, Underdog.
Yeah, here's that link right now. While you're looking at the screen and seeing that, you can also see the very handsome and well-dressed Dr. James Ferretti, author of the awesome and well-dressed book, because it does look pretty sick. Like red, black, and white. You can't go wrong with that color combo. Injuries suck, but your fantasy team doesn't have to. This stream doesn't suck, and this doctor rocks. So how you doing, the Fantasy Sports Doc, TFS Doc? How are you?
Thank you, guys, and thank you for that kind introduction. We made it. It's the final. So if you're watching this, that means either fantasy football still matters to you, you're a total degenerate, or you love the show, or maybe some combination therein. We don't judge. But welcome.
Speaking
and
of
thanks
degenerates,
for
Gator J's here.
Well, I'm not.
To be fair,
it's
a term of endearment in the fantasy community.
It is a term of endearment.
Listen, Rookie of the Year, the Gator. Rookie of the Year. He's
Absolutely.
come out and
Unanimous.
the year.
Unanimous.
That's our guy. He's all right.
Unanimous first place votes, Rookie of the Year across the board. But yes, so shout out to Mason Dodd from the Fantasy Flock Network. He always dresses in a suit jacket and a collared shirt. And I was like, you know what? I want to do that just once. So I figured it's 2023. It's a new year. So he's a lot younger and better looking than I am, but I figured I'd give it a try anyway. So here we are.
Doc.
That's bullshit.
Doc's just on the other side of the bridge there. He's just come back from Pacha, actually. So this is Doc in his rave attire, and he's been tearing it up for 3 days since New Year's. So congratulations, Doc, for coming down. Welcome.
Yeah, right.
Well, Gator is glad to see Doc, who is all that matters, apparently. Or you are what matters, not all that matters. And then, yes, Gladys. I think that's the degenerate talk in him. But
I'm
yes.
pretty sure that is. Doc is what matters.
That is true.
Doc is what matters. And yeah, I'm totally with that, Gator J. Anyway.
Right.
So yeah,
who's still alive? Who's still alive out there in their finals? Is it wrapped up for you? Do you need something tonight? Let us know what you need, and we will try to put it out into the universe and manifest it.
Absolutely. Anything you can do to help. Keto DFS here. Tim Strobel saying D-Gens Unite. Yeah, that's basically what we Hey, every day on the Going for Two Live network, there's a bunch of degenerates that get together and you can watch the stream. And it's funny that we're talking D-Gens because as you know, if you watched the streams earlier, I was in the Letterkenny division of Scott Fishbowl. Managed to finish in the top 100. So
Yeah,
proud of myself.
maybe.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Never made the playoffs in Scott
amazing.
Fishbowl before after a couple opportunities. So definitely glad that I improved.
Am I still in it?
No, it's over, Dan.
Oh, okay. Congrats to the Armchair DFS guys. Hell of a year. Friday nights, 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Incredible year they've had, the three of them. They've been pretty much on the mark most weeks. So hell of a year from the guys.
Anyway, I just find it hilarious. Sorry.
I'm on 2.
I'm in 0. Oh no, I'm playing for 3rd in a lot of leagues though. I'm going strong on that playing for 3rd, baby.
And it's still a good year. Any league where you make the playoffs, that's a good year because injuries happen, guys get benched because the games don't matter. Like there's a lot of variability and randomness that comes into play towards the end of the year. And
yeah, but
I don't know.
I have you to alleviate some of that variability.
That's why you're here, Doctor.
Yes, you. So tune in every Monday.
Do. Every Monday. That's why you're here. And you did alleviate some of it because I didn't play a couple of guys coming up, which is why.
Yeah, it's been a tough playoffs. So I will say that. I feel like there's 2 types of fantasy players out there. There's the type that they just can't get enough fantasy football and they want the season to go on forever. And then there's players like me and Dan.
I want it to end.
It's a grind, and I'm ready for it. It's been great. It's been a strange and beautiful trip, but I'm ready for it to be over. Like this is it. I got.
You're grateful that the season's dead.
I just want it to end. I was like, I'm never doing Scott Fishbowl again because I got rid of MFL. No, because I got rid of MFL. I'm like, I'm getting rid of my MFL leagues. I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then like I had someone sent me a promo code for like all 22. You can get in, do a league. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And like about 4 days before the season starts, I'm cramming a 52-round draft in. I'm like, what am I doing here? I just need this. I haven't looked at that league in about
22 weeks
since round 6 at least. I haven't looked. I have no idea. I can that one too. So I just want this to end. I want it to finish. The fantasy league needs to go, all of it. This week 17. Tune in August though. We'll be back. But
yeah,
I'm with the doc. Like
I'm kind of excited about off-season content because I'm kind of excited to see where all these free agents are going to land. Like
that's always the fun
because
part.
we're degenerates, Gladys. That's why we're so excited.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Free agency and rookie draft, all that sort of stuff is like cool to take in casually, but there's no great like repercussion of setting a lineup. That sort of thing. I could just waivers and commissioning things. I can do without that for a while. I'm okay to not commission for a few more months. I'm good. We're good.
And I think that's a big, if you play Dynasty, I think that's the big, there's excitement for the offseason because you can make trades. Like you could be an active playing Dynasty without setting lineups. In redraft, that doesn't really exist. So
you can still dip your toe in. Yeah. But it's just one of those things where the whole idea of like having to set lineups, check injury reports, find things that you don't want to have to think about. Like I get to take a break and listen, off-season best ball is going to be a bigger deal this year. Underdog took off. It's going to be a huge thing. GF2 100% matching deposit up to $100.
Yeah, so join up.
Join up. We're going to do a lot of best ball drafts this off-season, but like just to calm down on the fantasy stuff for the year. It's great. It's calmed down. We can just enjoy playoff football, a few props here or there, and get on to 2023, I think. And this was a pretty cool year, to be fair, because we've had a few in flux from the COVID years and all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool to see how the NFL really should look and how fantasy should flow. Because how about like at one point we were doing a show, the four of us. It's like a Tuesday afternoon. We're covering we're covering the Steelers
Monday to Tuesday, and then they move it to Wednesday, right? And we're like, if
somebody
else gets COVID, they're going to move it to Thursday. We're going to have a Monday night game.
We're covering a Monday night game and then a Tuesday game through the day. Me and Kyle, I think, hopped on one, and then you're looking at that, and then it was all over the place. And then if you're commissioning, how do we do substitutes and like having players just drop? I'm managing a league from all people on 4 different countries, different time zones. They don't know when to set lineups. I'm happy to see a year just be what.
Did you invite any of us in your league? Because I don't remember getting an invite.
It's my B league, my friend.
He's like, I don't really
want to be in the A league.
I'm just saying.
I
don't remember getting an invite, but whatever. Dan.
It's my dynasty. It's my home league. It's been going on. It's damn.
We're your homers too, but that's okay, Dan. Just go ahead.
Gladys would love it. It's like start 10 or 11.
You lost me at Dynasty, buddy. You lost me at Dynasty.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because my whole point earlier talking about Letterkenny is that the new season of Letterkenny dropped, and the season finale is called Degens. So it's funny that in our season finale, the keyword today has been Degens. But just talking Gator J to answer the earlier question, he's in 2 championships, 1 dynasty, 1 redraft that are still going tonight. So let us know Gator specifics, like how much you either up or down by, what players are left. I think Gator J does have a question though. Why does Discord Dan love best ball?
Because you don't have to think. I know there's strategy and all that sort of stuff, right? And we can get into a whole off-season worth of strategy for best ball, but for the most part, it's very easy. You just don't. There's no repercussions for setting lineups, no waivers, no trades, no nothing. It's just draft the best team possible and see what happens. And I like the casualness of it. It's great. And look, there's so many things that happen throughout a year. Listen, for the amount of people that were drafting, the San Fran running backs, for them to end up trading like for Christian McCaffrey and for Mason to be the backup and no one else having anything to do with the Miami Dolphins running backs or the San Fran running backs. And that's everything that's completely everything's out of your hands. The management is done. So it's just draft the best team you think possible, put some skill in, put some strategy in, keep up to date with the news and go from there. There's really, listen, at one point this year, I was drafting from Mexico. It was great. I'm on a beach. I'm doing a best ball draft, a few margaritas, no dramas. You don't have to think about it. And it's just perfect in that regard. So I love it in that regard. Whereas if I did all these startup drafts and they were redraft or dynasty, I don't have that time management in me to care that much. So best ball, I can do 100 best ball leagues, whatever. It's easy and it's fun, and who cares? It's a couple bucks here or there. It's not like it's not a $50 or $100 deposit on a draft that might absolutely blow up and then you're done in dynasty for a year. Like, just a couple bucks here or there and you can throw it down, have some fun. It's great.
And I guess, so is that what the B League stands for, the best ball league? And I mean, clearly you're saying best ball is the best.
No, it means second best, not quite A. So,
but not C either.
Best ball pimp.
Best ball, no.
Best ball baller.
Yes.
Best ball bro.
Nah. B-ball baller. BBB.
Someone's already got those copyrights out there.
My 50 other manager has Diggs.
Yeah, right. So
that's looking pretty good.
You should be right.
50-point lead.
I'm in the same.
He did do that last year though, Diggs, didn't he? He had that one game in the fantasy. I think
that was 2 years ago, but yeah, it was the championship.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, I lost the final.
No, it was his first year with Buffalo.
I was up by 75. The guy had Allen and Diggs, and I got done. So listen,
you
think you're home until you're down 300.
Yeah. So I would say to Gator J is like, you're probably 50 points from Diggs is probably not happening, but it could still happen.
The narcissist in me would be going, I'm going to bet on every Diggs prop over.
Yeah, right. I'm winning some way or the other.
I'm losing my fantasy league. I'm going to double down on making my money back on his props.
There you go. I'm winning something tonight, damn it.
No, that's it. I'd rather win my fantasy league, but hey, listen, if he goes for 2 touchdowns and I put money on it, I pull up a couple hungies. No dramas. We're good.
Okay, I need you to stop talking about Diggs making points because I need him to score less than 20 to win tonight. So,
Gator seems like he successfully won his dynasty league. I doubt Jamar Chase is fumbling
negative 30
times. Because once you get to about 7 or 8 fumbles in the game, they'll just bench him.
It's like, just take him out.
Congratulations on the dynasty championship, Gator J.
Yeah, Gator J.
It's funny that we're talking about these players. So in a salary cap contract league, and everyone who listens and all my co-hosts know how much I love those leagues. I lost in this final last year, and the team I lost in the final 2 last year were both in the finals again. So great chance to get some revenge. Currently, I'm up by 66 points. They have Allen and Diggs. I've got Tyler Boyd, so I can still continue to push, but it's one of those where the projections say I'm 97% sure to win, but I still don't feel safe. Like that's at no point while the game is going am I going to feel like I've won until the final buzzer's
going. The final buzzer, baby.
Luckily, the World Juniors are on tonight, so I can be distracted by that and not have to watch football and stress about it. So there we go.
What is World Juniors?
Terrible.
Hockey.
Oh, no, I'm out. But spies on, so I'm good.
Well, the states did make it through. I think they destroyed Germany. So
I mean, Kyle's Canadian, so hockey stuff is very low hanging fruit for him.
Movies. We're gonna watch
Hockey
Black
movies?
Adam tonight. No, we're watching Black Adam tonight.
Movie. Oh, okay. You're gonna watch movies. I was gonna say,
Yes.
I do love the movie Goon. That's a good hockey movie.
That was a good movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Is it a sports movie?
Yeah, it's
I don't
a
watch
hockey
sports
movie.
movies. Yeah, I don't watch
hockey
sports
movie.
movies.
Sean William Scott plays a goon.
Stifler. Stifler is the main
Stifler.
character. It's pretty great.
I do like me some Stifler though.
I think he does well. It's I would say, again, back to Letterkenny, I think the best hockey show ever though is Shoresy. That's for sure. Letterkenny / Shoresy.
I watched one season. I watched the first episode after you guys talked about that. I don't get it. Maybe because I don't understand hockey. But I was like, what the fuck is happening here on Letterkenny? Yeah,
they're a quick talking show.
I was lost, and then maybe it's because the hockey stuff. I was like, it's not really that funny.
I haven't watched any Letterkenny. I only found out what it was this year when Kyle.
I only found out
when he said he was going to Letterkenny.
The only reason I know what it is because it was Kyle's division in the Scott Fish Bowl.
That's it. That's the only reason why.
Exactly.
What's it about, Kyle? Quickly, give us an elevator pitch.
So it's about small town problems, and small town in southern Ontario. You basically get, we'll say 4 groups of people: hicks / farmers, hockey players, skids, and Christians.
What are skids?
The guys that do a lot of drugs.
Oh,
gotcha.
Okay.
So it sounds like a Canadian version of Trailer Park Boys.
Well, Trailer Park Boys is Canadian.
I've never seen Trailer Park Boys either.
It's, to be honest, it's way funnier than Trailer Park Boys, and I do enjoy Trailer Park Boys, but this is legit funny.
Okay.
But it's also my type of humor. Yeah. Alliterations are awesome. I know Discord Dan does appreciate a good alliterations, but yeah.
There we go. Promo Pimp agrees.
So you mentioned that the first season. I find for almost every TV show, the first season is never the best. That's the okay. We're setting our groundwork, and then we evolve. Yeah. The second season will almost usually be the best. So I definitely recommend Letterkenny season 2, especially season 2 cold open is incredible. It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen.
I will watch the first of season 2. But last night, Terry, what did we watch? Glass Onion?
Dan's show, right?
Do you watch Glass Onion, Dan?
He was talking about it last week. We were making fun of him because he watches all these horrific shows, and he finally pulled something that we had heard of.
I didn't
finish it?
No.
What the? Dan! Oh my God.
Oh, you know what it is? It's one of those movies I said to my wife I'd watch with her, and I know if I watched the end, I'd feel bad for watching it without her, so I stopped.
Okay.
That's actually thoughtful.
We talked about things being a partner.
That's actually thoughtful.
It's a marriage hack. If you're going to watch something without your partner, don't watch the end.
Okay, I can respect that, but you need to watch. You two need to watch it. It's really good. It's really good.
Your surprise reveal isn't ruined, and you can actually look shocked. So this is something I've been picking up. I've been married 10 years.
I give you
one of those things where I just, if I watch the ending, then I have to watch the whole thing again. So I'll watch maybe 50% or something and be like, all right. And then that's it. And if I end up watching it with her later, great. If I don't, then I don't know what happened. So
okay. I respect
this is where I'm at. It's been a week and I haven't watched it. So we'll see.
I respect it.
Yeah.
Well, it's Fantasy Football Championship weeks. There's very important things happening this last week. So we feel you.
Not if you're not in the championships.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Which I'm not.
Just to continue on to Gator Jay's question of these insane leads that still don't feel safe no matter how large they are. So for anyone paying attention this year, Jeff Lambert going for 2. I'm wearing all the going for 2 gear, but yeah, our going for 2 founder. He created a new format called Zombie Leagues, and I would say formats that have existed in the past, Vampire Leagues and Guillotine Leagues. It almost combines the two. So Jeff played the role of the zombie in our league. I think there was another zombie league Jeff made where Foss was the zombie. Everyone drafts except the zombie. So the zombies league is made up of waiver wire players after the draft. But if the zombie wins at any point in the year, whoever loses, they get to steal a player off them, and that player that other manager has to drop every other starter in their lineup, keep their bench players, but they become a zombie now too, and then the infestation happens. I think our league was a single quarterback, or just one super flex spot, in the other league where Foss was the zombie, I think there was a QB spot and a super flex spot, and I think it took him forever to finally get a win. Jeff got a win week 1, so it was complete chaos in this league. It turned out to the end where I was the only human left. Everyone else was a zombie, and I've made it all the way to the final, so go humans, I guess. Against Patient Zero, Jeff's super team, because as part of being the first zombie, he's gotten the chance to steal the most players. So it goes from this waiver wire group of players to what's his lineup? Eckler, Barkley, Jefferson, Chase, Lamb, Kamara, and Joe Burrow to finish things off.
Nice.
Now, luckily, I've been since I didn't ever have to drop my starters as being the only human left. I was kind of able to accumulate McCaffrey, Waddle, AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs, Stephon Diggs. I think Diggs and McCaffrey I drafted along with Jalen Hurts, but almost every other player on my team has been someone I picked up. So I've been able to accumulate a good team too. Anyway, I'm up by, I think, 65 with Stephon Diggs left. So it's funny, I got to go against him, but play here. But Jeff's got, again, that combo of Burrow, Chase, and then Dawson Knox to throw in. So I've got to play against an Allen Diggs stack, and I've got to play against a Burrow Chase stack. So tonight's going to be fun.
Yeah, you need to watch the juniors, because otherwise you'll be tilting all night long.
Unfortunately, the junior game will be over before this game is, so I have no choice.
It's good. That's a fun one. I'm in one title game, and it's all coming down to Monday night. I'm down 5. I have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Devin Singletary, and the other guy has Allen, James Cook, and T. Higgins. So anybody's guess how that's going to go.
I suppose every time Allen throws to Diggs, you're probably getting more points than they are. So that's almost one of those where, they're banking on Allen just throwing as much away from, like you said, you have Gabe Davis too.
Yeah, so basically if he throws a touchdown to somebody other than those 3 guys, then I'm in big trouble. But, it's close. So it's basically, it's like, I think they got it like 55-45 or something like that. But you can't really, that's another rant. It was like, you can't really trust those projections. How many times have you seen, you got a 2% chance of winning, and then the other team comes back and wins? It's like, it's based on their projections, which are not, it's not like NASA calculated them. It's like, it's some asshole who's, an intern at CBS who's calculating the projections. It's like, how many times have you looked at that and you're like, okay, this guy's not going to score 9 points. Like, where'd you get that from?
If NASA calculated this, they still wouldn't be. We still wouldn't know what would happen, because it's football. Like anything, can happen.
Anything
can happen. Account for every variable. And
listen,
Justin Jefferson can get 1 point.
Yeah, the best thing I saw
this
week. The best thing I saw about this week about projections and all was on Sleeper. It was I'm hoping it was an intern from CBS that doesn't know shit. It said Mike Evans was a risky flex play this week. So if you had a bench Mike Evans in your fantasy championship this week, you'd be cooked. So
yeah, I mean, can you really fault anybody for that though? Like, I get it. Like I've been playing him the whole way, and I lost in the semifinals, and that's it. But it's like, I feel like there's 2 camps. It's like, if you rode him this far, why bench him now? And if not, you should have.
If you're able to make it to the finals in spite of his poor performance, you could afford it.
If you're going to bench him, why bench him now? You should have benched him a month ago. Why now?
I was in Discord, and there was a question that was brought up. I feel like it was in the Dynasty Rewind Patreon. I'm pretty sure. And the question,
I was going to say, is it the going for 2.com Discord?
Might have been one. It was one of the 2. And it was, who do you play? I think Kyle might have been going for 2, because I think you commented on this. It was, who do I play, Greg Dortch or Devontae Adams?
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like, how do you bench Devontae Adams for Greg Dortch this week? Like, for me, it's like, I can't even comprehend the idea of not playing Devontae Adams. Like, if the thing is, there's
because of the quarterbacks.
Right, but if both quarterbacks are shit, because it's David Blow or Jared Stidham, then it comes down to the receiver, and which receiver is better? Well, it's Devontae Adams. Why would you even contemplate? We overthink things.
I don't know how I feel about this Jared Stidham slander. I'm going to let it slide for me.
Yeah, I think he's proved he's definitely way better than David Blau.
I didn't say he was better or worse. I just said, if it comes down to, if both are backup quarterbacks and you have either Greg Dortch versus Devontae Adams, who are you going to take despite bad quarterback play or unknown quarterback play? Don't want to insult the Stidham stands. It's just one of those things where it's like, who would you take? And the answer is Adams 100% of the time. It shouldn't even be a question. If he got you there and Greg Dortch didn't, why you even – we overthink things. And, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's football, and anything can happen. I mean,
anything can happen. It's one of those things where the way that I look at it, I don't know if this is going to be helpful to anybody out there, but it's like, think about your outcome. So it's like, you can have a good process and a good outcome or a bad outcome, and you can have a bad process and a good outcome or a bad outcome. So what do I feel about the process? If I start Greg Dortch and he sucks and Davante Adams blows up and he's on my bench, how am I going to feel about that? Versus if I start Davante Adams and he doesn't have a good game and Dortch blows up on my bench, which one of those can I live with more? And I can live with starting Davante Adams. He doesn't do well because, and Dortch blows up on my bench. I can live with that. You reverse that. That's something that I would like contemplate quitting fantasy football if I lose the championship because of that.
Never play again. You'd bounce from everyone.
That's it. It's like Bill Murray and Caddyshack. You quit the game. That would be it. Like that would be it. So it's like, those are the ways that I kind of come to these decisions and be like, okay, when push comes to shove, I'm playing Davante Adams no matter what. I don't care if he's facing the 85 Bears and Greg Dortch is going up against like DeVry Tech, the junior varsity squad. Like, I'm starting Davante Adams because elite players play elite, and Greg Dortch is great. He got 10 targets this week, but he got 4 catches for 15 yards. That ain't gonna cut the proverbial mustard. So, what can you live with? That's the end result.
So he went full Justin Jefferson. That's what you said.
Well, that's like 4 times as many catches as Jefferson.
Yeah,
but yeah. Caddyshack. That's a great movie. It's a good one.
That is a great movie.
And so I guess things we learned this year, and I mean, thank you. The chair bringer T is here in the chat, so we appreciate that. Terry, you can see Gladys showing off the
Happy
new
New
gift you gave her.
She's like right there.
Yeah,
sitting right there.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks. That's why I guess install the chair and stuff. You wouldn't have time to leave.
She had to be
before the big show. But yeah, so make time, you and your wife, and so Dan taught it again. If you're gonna watch a show with your partner, you can get ahead, but just don't go all the way. Don't finish it. Don't watch the last episode, or keep yourself before the big cliffhanger. Best ball requires much less time investment because all you need is the time to draft, and then you can forget it. You can do literally anything over 9,000 best ball drafts in his off season. I just needed a Dragon Ball Z reference for some reason, and then start your studs.
I'm not on board with that one, but okay.
100% deposit matchup to 100.
2 out of 3. I was out. 2 out of 3.
It's amazing what happens when you sponsor. You talk about your sponsors. It's amazing. They start giving you money back. I think it's a lesson for all companies. You start talking about them. They say,
"Are you paying attention, Jeff?
Money. Just have some money. Have more money here. I'm going to throw." The sponsor starts throwing money into your account. Just go do it. You talk about them. 100% matching deposit up to $100.
The sponsors will give you
Jay. Happy New Year, Jay.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that after Dan's.
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out why he was calling Doc Jay, and that's what I was.
No, from Jay. Yes. So Jay Eubanks, one of Gladys's co-hosts on the 2-point conversion in the off season, joining us here, saying hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Nice. Kyle, Gladys,
big Doc, Rams fan. How's that working out for you, Jay? Big Rams fan.
Oh yeah. Hey, they won the title last year, so.
There you go.
You can't. Yeah. What's the rule? You can't complain for 5 years after you win.
Is that the rule?
I think so. Or somebody said that. I think it was related. You'll appreciate this, Gladys. It was in relation to Cordell Stewart. They said all you have to do. Remember Slash? They said all you have to do is have one good year out of every 5, because once you have a good year, they'll spend 4 years waiting for you to have another one.
And that is Slash's
kind of his career arc, as I recall.
That is Slash's career arc.
Didn't he bring them to a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken? I know they didn't. I don't think they won.
I don't know if he played in the Super Bowl. Maybe he did.
Play in the Super Bowl. I don't think he played it. He didn't play in the Super Bowl.
Okay, I know they were like a 1 seed 1 year. I think the Steelers went to the Super Bowl in '95. I don't know if he was there yet. Maybe he wasn't. But as Dan mentioned, the underdog deposit match.
And then they played again when they played Seattle, right? That was when that was like 2000 and
you see, that was a Ben win though. I'm pretty sure. So I was Slash.
Right. Did
they overlap?
Oh, Ben. No,
I don't think so.
They didn't overlap. I don't think.
So you might not have. Oh well. But yeah, if you don't be like Slash, try and be a winner and go on underdog, try and win. Whether it's prop bets, picking games. The playoffs are coming. The NFL playoffs. Yes, playoffs. So just in time for that. Again,
I was excited because Green Bay might make it in.
I just love the NFL playoffs regardless. But yeah, that would be awesome if they could.
I don't think I'd love it if Steelers don't make it in. Or I would love it if Jacksonville makes it in.
Well, and one of the reasons I look forward to playoff football every year is the same thing. The fantasy season's done, so we can be a lot less stressed about the outcomes and just actually watch and enjoy football games.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy much football this week. I watched a lot, but I was just stressing and like a nervous wreck the entire time. So I don't know that I necessarily enjoyed it that much, the actual watching. I enjoyed the lead up to it and making the decisions. And that stress, it's at least stress I can do something about. When you're just sitting there watching, man, it's awful. So
I have a
playoffs
feeling
are great.
that I'm not taking fantasy as seriously as you guys because it doesn't really.
No, it's
like,
fine.
You're just not not the type of person that gets stressed out by bullshit.
Yeah, that's probably better for you, Gladys.
Yeah, this is a good thing. Don't it's not that you're not taking it seriously. Like you almost made the playoffs in our dynasty league. It's just you don't get stressed over stuff that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
You have to share some of that incense around, Gladys. I think they are the boys above us.
Are we sure that's incense? Gladys 100%. Is in Colorado after all.
No, that's 100% incense.
Don't answer that, Gladys.
I'm not.
I'm in Canada. You know how much I was smoking this weekend? Jeez. But anyway, so not hungover though. I was not a Super Bowl hangover like the Rams, as Jay is pointing out. They're always concerned about Stafford's elbow. Too much smoke there, and that was something right from the offseason. So Doc, I don't know if this is something to transition to.
Yeah.
These elbow issues, it started to seem like really early in the offseason, almost Stafford having never won a playoff game before this year. It's like, wow, actually playing on divisional weekend is weird. Wow, actually playing in the championship games weird. What, actually played the Super Bowl and just his body just not used to that long run?
Yeah.
Are we expecting, like, is it accumulation of time to where Stafford will never be the same again? Or the fact that he was shut down early this year, does that help his chances for next year to be healthier? Like, what do we know about Stafford?
Well, I think this is why Kyle is a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. The host with the most.
I was just inspired by Jay's comment, actually. So
it's a really good question, and I think it's something that bears watching going into next season, because if it's something where this is when you get worried, when you have a player who either has some sort of procedure in order to fix something, or they get a bunch of rest and they're like, rest is going to fix this. And then they come back the next year if they've rested for 6 months, 7 months, whatever it is, or they had a procedure and they come back. And then once they start ramping up again, it's like, oh, my elbow's hurting again, or whatever the thing is. It's like surgery didn't fix it. The rest didn't fix it. That's when you get really, really worried. So if Stafford comes back and he's, just doing his normal thing, then it probably was just an accumulation, inflammation, and the time off, like, kind of fixed it. Because that's really what inflammation and tendonitis and all these things need. It needs rest. What's the one thing you can't do during the season is rest. Like a bye week's not going to cut it. You need like weeks, months. Like you really need to just let it be, which is the same thing that we see in our normal lives. Like people that get carpal tunnel, or they get wrist tendonitis from typing, or, sitting in a chair, hunched over a computer. It's like, oh, okay, I'll give it a couple of days. So you give it a couple of days and you start to feel better. And then you go right back to doing whatever it was that started the pain in the first place. And guess what? It comes right back. So it's more than just a couple of days. It takes a really long time. So if
wasn't Stafford hurt in Detroit though? Isn't it chronic? Whatever's wrong with him, isn't it chronic? Wasn't he hurt in Detroit?
I'm sure he had, like issues when he was in Detroit.
I remember
it didn't manifest itself until now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing much about the elbow tendonitis in with the Lions, but I definitely agree with you. There was the back concern.
The back
issue,
big
issue.
Yeah,
spinal cord stenosis or something.
I mean, he's been around a while. He's been dealing with stuff for.
When we talk about stenosis, we were talking about stenosis, right? That's the thing that we were talking about last about. It was spinal cord stenosis.
I don't know if he has stenosis. He had a spinal cord contusion or bruise, but I don't know if it's related to stenosis or if it's just you don't have to have stenosis to have that happen.
Yeah, I got you.
And I think,
Doc, would you draft Stafford next year?
I would be, optimistic, but I want to see, like, I would hold off on, elevating him to the level that he was, like, say, coming into this year until we get more information that he has a decent offseason. He's able to throw, in the summer when they do the OTAs and things like that. Because if he doesn't, that's a huge red flag. And we didn't get that. And full disclosure, it's like I drafted Stafford in the Scott Fish Bowl, and then the report that he has tendonitis comes out like 3 days later. Very suboptimal. But had I known that, I would not have drafted him. I would have drafted Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, somebody else in that area. But I wouldn't have taken Stafford because that's worrisome. And it turned out that it probably did have a lot to do, or at least something to do with why he didn't perform very well this year. If he's healed, I think he can rebound and go back to doing, Matt Stafford things, but we still need to see like how it's going to be.
We now know he's got a run game waiting for him when he does come back, because the guy that's come back from the Achilles, it took him a lot longer than what we thought. Yeah. He came back early for the Super Bowl last year, and then he did nothing all off season. And listen, he's probably been a revelation the last month of the year. Like,
yeah, that's a dynamite transition. We were talking about like players to watch going into, next season. And, you asked me before the show, and I just kind of came up with a few guys off the top of my head. Like Stafford is a good one that I didn't think of, but I came up with 4 guys, and Cam Akers was on the list. And it was like, this is somebody that going into this season, I was very bearish on, because I was like, this Achilles, like we've never seen this. And then halfway through the year, when he almost like forced a trade, I was like, okay, like this guy, it's not looking good for him. Now things look a lot different. So now there's more hope that he might actually be able to, come back and be productive. So I'm really going to be interested to see like what he does next year, but I'm actually really encouraged about what we've seen from Cam Akers and the Rams over the last few weeks, because if you waited that long to get the production from him, kudos to you for riding it out. But, he could really be somebody that gets back to, high RB2, like low RB1 level production next year.
So let's assume that Trey Lance has a job when he comes back from his injury. Trey Lance or Kyler Murray, who do you have more confidence in coming back from their injury next year?
I actually have confidence in both of them. I think the issue with Kyler Murray is going to be that it's going to be, it's going to be timing. So, 9-10 months from when he got injured, which, if you do the math, like, he may start on the PUP, like he's going to be delayed. He's not going to be able to fully participate in OTAs and training camp, most likely. Their coach over there is almost assuredly fired. The team is somewhat in shambles. So what's that all going to look like? But as far as him being a player, like, I think he'll come back and, he'll probably be slow to start. He may not run as much early on, but I think he'll come back and be Kyler Murray again. And Trey Lance, the real question mark with him is, and you guys tell me what you think on this, I think he'll be fine as far as his injury is concerned. The problem is with Trey Lance, as opposed to Kyler Murray, he's all potential. And the waters are very muddy there as far as quarterback. Like Jimmy G is still there, and he may be back before the season's over. Brock Purdy has been playing really, really well. What are they going to do there? It was like they were ready to hand him the job. He gets hurt, and now he might be on the bench again.
I'm gonna run with this one because I dealt with enough. Trey Lance thing, I'm all in on. I'm all in on Trey Lance. I think he's fantastic. I think he's going to be fantastic, and that's fine. I think Garoppolo, I don't think there's a chance in hell he comes back. This guy now can walk into free agency as one of look head-to-head, Garoppolo versus Carr. Maybe Garoppolo. So you're talking about a guy who's going to have the pick of the teams that he can walk into next year that need one. Atlanta, Tampa next year, Vegas if you want to, Jets if you need to. He can walk into any team he wants next year that needs a quarterback. He could go to the Giants and challenge Daniel Jones if he has to. Washington, Wentz won't be there. He could walk over there. He'll be the Colts. He could go to the Colts. He could go anywhere next year, Garoppolo, without having the restrictions of a contract holding him back like he had this year, because he had the injury, obviously, in the offseason. That's why he didn't go anywhere, and he held them up for $25 million. Stopped Deebo Samuel negotiations. It was a whole clusterfuck, right? So everything that – and the landing spot for Garoppolo this year was perfect because of what ultimately happened. But you can't predict injuries from happening. What happened to Lance sucks. It was what it was. The whole idea that Brock Purdy is going to take this kid's job. We all were saying this. Listen, let's go back a minute. When Jimmy Garoppolo got injured and Nick Mullins came in and ran around like he was Philip freaking Rivers, everyone was sitting there going, he's going to challenge Jimmy Garoppolo to a starting spot the next year. Get out of town. It ain't going to happen. He's going to walk in injury-free with a team without the whole conjecture of Garoppolo in the background working to himself. Purdy will be a great backup for them. It's wonderful. It's a nice story. Anyone that thinks that my mind is blown by the idea that this kid isn't going to walk into the starting spot. it's just my mind is blown by the idea of it not happening. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I just want to interject one thing.
Oh, here we go.
As a Giants fan, I'm sure you remember Jeff Hostetler winning the Super Bowl against the Bills. And
Actually,
then
don't remember that.
My
mind isn't even here for that.
And then displacing Phil Simms the next year, which nobody believed could actually happen until Ray Handley made it so. And
he's not winning the Super Bowl. He's had a very good run against the Rams and the Seahawks and the Cardinals, like teams that are sub 500. And the Raiders. Good job.
Sorry, I was gonna.
He's had a pretty good run against some pretty shit opposition. Like it couldn't have worked out better for him to walk into a team with Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and McCaffrey, and one of the best offensive lines in the league. I get it, but he's been able to walk away with this against some of the worst teams in the NFL.
I mean, you got to give him a little bit of credit. You hand somebody the keys to a Ferrari, anybody can drive it off a cliff. You know, it's like he kept the Ferrari on the road. You know, like you got to give him credit.
I understand, but the idea that this guy is doing what Lance couldn't, the idea behind it is just mental. And like, if we're all behind this, Shanahan can get anyone to do what he wants, then why can't he get Lance to do what he wants?
And I don't think we're all behind that idea. I think Shanahan is behind that idea. Yeah. Shanahan is behind the idea that he can get, that it's his system.
Shanahan's out there bombing picks on this guy. He's going to want to use him at some point.
Yeah. Without question.
It's going to happen. He wanted to drop all his money on Debo Samuel and George Kittle. He did it. He wanted to drop more picks on Christian McCaffrey. He did it. Like, the idea that he's not going to be able to get Trey Lance fully healthy to do what he needs him to do, to run an RG3 type offense with those guys around him, come on. Brock Purdy, great. Fantastic. He's going to get found out very, very quickly against some very, very superior teams.
You're probably right. It's like Lee gets more tape on him. Like, you know, it's good. It's good fodder for discussion. But you make a lot of really good points. And like I said, with Trey Lance, like, love the talent, love the potential. Excited to ramp it up again next year and see what happens. And if there's the buying price goes down because he didn't play this year, then I'm buying. You know, I'm all in.
I think with the question that Gladys is asking of who we drafted in redraft, Lance or Murray,
whoever falls
I think the only chance Purdy has to actually compete for that job is probably if he goes and wins the Super Bowl this year, right? If he goes and proves like something that they haven't done in a franchise in 27 years, I think he might get a legit shot at starting. But short of Purdy actually going and winning the Super Bowl, I agree with Dan. There's probably no way he gets a legit shot to start.
I understand that he could, because no one thought that Nick Foles could do this. So I understand the consequences behind, hey, listen, there's a backup coming into a great situation. They can go off and win it. Foles absolutely did it. So I know Purdy's set up to have a good run. Foles was also, a 5 or 6 year vet at that point. He had some,
not a 7th round rookie.
He had some tenure on him, and you're going to come up against guys like the Eagles front. They're going to run him. The Cowboys, they're going to run at him. Like, that's really going to happen.
I mean, the wastebasket of history is littered with starting quarterbacks who get displaced by young quarterbacks and win the Super Bowl. I mean, look at Tom Brady. I mean, he did it.
I understand, and I get it, but he's going to get
Purdy beat Brady.
Yeah, he's like, well, it's never going to happen. It's like, well, it might happen.
So, assuming it doesn't happen, I think I agree. Like, I would think it would be Lance because, again, the uncertainty of knowing that Murray's going to start week 1. If I've got to make that investment, especially really in either one QB, but certainly in a super flex league where it's so tough to get replacements. I mean, in a 1 QB league, sure, I'll take the upside shot at them and I could draft someone safer later to kind of cover for Murray early. But I guess the question, Doc, with Lance is he just had a recent surgery. Now he had his ankle surgery, I guess, whatever it was, in September. Yeah. And he's had a recent surgery now to, I guess, remove some things.
Yeah. It's pretty standard. And I that doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I think it's encouraging because they went in, basically, it seems like they put some hardware in to kind of hold everything together and let it heal. So now that it's healed, they don't need the hardware anymore. So they just kind of went in and took it out. So whatever metal plates and screws and things that were kind of, holding his ankle together, they said, okay, we don't need these anymore. So we're going to take them out. So that's good.
Yeah. So right now I'd probably, to answer Gladys' question, I'd probably go Lance over Murray, but that's
I think also the way to look at it, the last real big name quarterback that got injured and had a massive fantasy season was probably Joe Burrow a couple of years ago, right? They took him on that run towards the Super Bowl, but he also didn't kick off until halfway through the year.
True.
That's a way to look at it. Like if you're going to try to find the value in the quarterbacks that could take off, obviously, I'd probably take the one that falls later, and that's probably Kyler Murray had the later injury, right? So we're probably going to say maybe Kyler Murray, but like
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
But like I'm not the biggest fan of drafting injured quarterbacks.
No, I don't blame you. But all I'm saying is I can't think of it right now and say, like, how's the market going to react to this? Like, again, because it's an ACL injury for a known commodity where we know that he's going to be back on a certain time frame versus somebody who will be back earlier but is an unknown commodity still. I don't know how the market's going to react.
There's too much around the Cardinals at the moment to know what's going to happen. Everyone's talking about Kingsbury getting sacked. James Conner's probably out the door. You're talking about Rondale Moore's been a bust. They discarded their last second-round wide receiver and Andy Isabella this year as well. Greg Dortch has been fine. Marquise Brown can't stay on the field. DeAndre Hopkins has been okay. So, like, they're fine, but, like, that team is in flux anyway. So, taking a risk on Kyler Murray with a pretty nasty injury for what he's built on doing, like he had a touchdown this year where he covered 80 yards laterally. Like, that might not happen straight away. So you're looking at already diminishing a lot of his points and what he's known for straight off the bat, which is incredibly problematic for me. Like with Murray, that's out of the two, I'd say I'd take the guy that's probably falling later. Probably going to be Murray at this point. But even still, like, I'd want him to fall even a little bit more in redraft because I don't think I'd want parts of that in that regard. If Stafford's probably going to fall around the same spot as Murray, you'd think, right?
I'd imagine Stafford goes later.
I think it's going to be when you draft because it's like, you know how the off season is. It's like when somebody posts a video like Kyler Murray doing like donut.
We're probably not drafting until August, right? We're gonna know Stafford in training camp at that point.
You don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I'd imagine Murray goes
good fodder for discussion.
Yeah. We'll see. But I guess the one concern with Lance, though, I did look it up because I was curious. He has thrown 132 pass attempts over the last 3 years. Like, I know
it's the same as Jordan Love. Like, Jordan Love at some point.
I hope it's not the same as Jordan Love. It's the same as Jordan Love. We shouldn't be drafting Trey Lance. Let's be real. I'd hope that Trey Lance is better than Jordan Love. Not so much for the Packers' sake, but for the 49ers' sake and all ours in stakes in fantasy. Well, actually, and Jordan Love may not be the Packers' problem next year anyway. But interesting because Jay's question here: why don't the Commanders give Heineke a real shot?
Because they want to win more than 6 games.
But why, so I guess to my question is why don't they get quarterbacks that can actually win games then?
That's it. Like, you're telling me that with those weapons, that Garoppolo or Carr isn't an instant upgrade. Straight off the bat, they are an instant upgrade right away. That's it. Like, Heineke's been good in terms of managing what they've been able to do, but he's been very lockstep with just McLaurin. They've got other good players around that he hasn't really facilitated. They've won some good games. They also played the Giants twice. Like, this is sort of how it's happened. It's worked out for him in that regard. So Heineke's a very serviceable backup. I think he's good in that regard. Carson Wentz can go kick rocks. I think we've seen enough of him. What's he going to do? Land on his 4th team in 4 years? Like, that's got to end. But Heineke's going to be good for them if he can stick about. He might push a quarterback that comes in like a Carr or a Garoppolo, but do I want to see him start for them? Probably not. I don't think it's worth that. They have to be incredibly cash-strapped for him to be considered at this point, in my opinion.
They can't move on from Wentz's contract, and they're forced to, okay, well, this is our QB room. Heineke, full competition. Heineke wins the job, and Wentz is the backup.
They're going to want to keep guys like – they're going to want to pay guys like Daron Payne. Those are the guys that they're going to want to keep about. So I can see a world where, like, Heineke's there as a cheap alternative. I get it, but he's not going to get them any further than what they are. He's done very good this year for what it is, but that's it. They're a mediocre team that will win against some teams that are lower than them and the odd upset. That's it.
I guess his best shot at starting is if they actually draft a rookie QB that they view as a project. Like if where they're drafting, maybe if Anthony Richardson falls to them and they may think, okay, we need him to kind of sit and learn the NFL game before starting. We'll throw Heineke out to the Wolves and he'll get the majority of the starts.
If you're talking like a Tannehill Willis situation, yeah, sure, why not? Why not? But
if they take a guy,
are they going to commit to him? No.
Joshua Dobbs getting the start in Week 18 and a must-win.
It's awesome.
Just
awesome
throwing that out
ever.
there. Like that's
I think that says everything we need to know about Malik Willis, right?
This year it does, and it's been pretty bad. So, all prospect growth isn't linear, but it definitely hasn't looked good up to this point.
Like, I know that it seems like the Titans have already moved on from him, though. Like, it seems like if they really believe in him, you'd give him every chance to go win these important
Football
games.
is such a what have you done for me lately sport. It's like it changes, it changes with the tides, It's like,
But I also think they spent
Dobbs
a third
goes
round
out
pick on
and
him,
craps
right?
the
Like
bed, then Willis is going to be back in everybody's good graces.
The Giants,
all of a sudden it's about his
the
potential.
Giants spent a third round pick on Davis Webb, Kyle. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, a third round pick isn't really that strong of an investment. That's not, like, right from the get go. That's saying we don't really believe in you, because if they really believed in him, they wouldn't have let him fall to the third round.
He was being mocked to Detroit at pick 3 at one point.
I know. What's the saying? It's like it only takes one person to reach, but it takes the whole league to have somebody drop. So it's like it wasn't just them; it was everybody.
I think the NFL is telling us something about Malik Willis.
The NFL told us what they thought about this year's quarterbacks, letting the first quarterback.
They sure did.
They let Pickett fall to pick 21 or something, right? Like
we're probably going to see 4 quarterbacks go ahead of before pick 21 this year, right? So
it's going to be crazy. Gladys, I know we were talking about we were going to go later. We're not going to lose you at 8:15, are we?
8:15 your time. Wait, what?
Yeah,
6:15 my team.
Sorry, but
I think the game starts at 6:30 Mountain.
Jersey person. The world revolves around Eastern Standard Time for me. I apologize.
What is happening?
I should say 6:15.
Because I do believe the game will start at 6:30 Mountain Time.
Which is
it starts at 6:30.
I just want to make sure that you don't have to cut out in the middle of the stream.
Because and I think injury wise with these players that we're talking about
I'm good.
All right, awesome.
Oh, what's this? Gladys preseason
could still happen.
The Super Bowl was the Lions. I remember that.
The Lions are still alive. Could still happen.
Yeah, they are, baby.
They just have to upset the Packers and they make it to the playoffs. There you go.
They need Seattle to win.
You'd be an upset, really?
That's
is
true.
it? Wait, where's the game? Is it in Green Bay or in Detroit?
It's in Green Bay. That's why Green Bay's favorite, I think.
Good times.
Right. Yeah.
All right, you guys want to do the last lightning round injury thing? I don't know if anybody still cares about injuries, but we can do it. We can do it.
Do it.
Off to you, Doc.
Make it happen.
Right. So let's see. Let somebody time me. All right. So first and starting off, Jalen Hurts, shoulder injury, sternoclavicular joint injury. That's on the inside where the collarbone meets the sternum here. So he missed weeks 16 and 17. Everything was looking hunky-dory. The Eagles just needed one win in order to lock up the top seed. Well, bad news. They still need that one win to lock up the top seed. So there's optimism that he actually is going to play now in week 18. And my guess is that he does. I think if you're playing in week 18 and Jalen Hurts is playing, you play him, but just know that he is at risk for re-injury. 35 touchdowns in 14 games, averaging 29.6 points per game. That is amazing. I feel for anybody that lost him going into the playoffs. Injuries are just brutal in this game. Tua Tagovailoa with his concussion. He's in the concussion protocol. No guarantees he's back for week 18 or the rest of the year. And then Teddy Bridgewater, his backup, dislocated his pinky finger on his throwing hand, tackling someone after an interception, which literally is adding injury to insult. So it's very likely we're going to see Skylar Thompson under center in week 18 in a must-win game.
There's Luke Skywalker for you, Dan. Sorry to interrupt, Doc.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker's back.
Nick Foley and Dynamite knocked out of the game with his rib injury, bruise, break, or tear. It doesn't matter. They've already announced that Sam Erlinger is going to get the start in week 18. Somebody just put the Colts and the quarterbacks on the Colts out of everyone's misery.
Only one game left.
If we're ready for the season to be over, you know that all the quarterbacks on that team are ready for the season to be over. Ryan Tannehill with his ankle injury, high ankle sprain, tightrope surgery, out for the remainder of the regular season, possibly for the rest of the year. Colt McCoy with his concussion. We talked about this before. His concussion, he looked like he was going to be good. Concussion symptoms recurred. He was out again. Big question mark going into week 18. My guess is, since they're not playing for anything, they probably opt to hold him out. Lamar Jackson still dealing with the PCL sprain in his knee. The Ravens have clinched a playoff spot, and Lamar's been out since week 14. So they can't improve their position with a win this week. So I expect Lamar to get held out until the playoffs. Moving on to getting held out to games matter. Derrick Henry with his quote-unquote hip injury. I think this was a thinly veiled way to hold out Henry until a week 18 showdown versus Jacksonville with a playoff berth on the line. Smart of them to do it. Hassan Haskins got the start, 12 carries, 40 yards, 2 catches, 13 yards, not too bad. Tony Pollard missed week 17 with a thigh injury. He's expected to practice this week, so that's encouraging. Let's see how that goes and make plans for week 18 based off of that. The aforementioned James Conner with his shin injury. X-rays are negative, and that actually means something since we're talking about the shin bone, the big bone that runs down your leg. So it's not completely broken, but he's not out of the woods yet because bone bruises don't show up on X-ray, and they really hurt and are actually incomplete fractures or breaks or cracks in the bone. So be on the lookout if James Conner can't practice this week, or if he goes for an MRI. Who that would leave everybody with? Hey, Jay. Who that would leave everybody with would be Corey Clement, Keontae Ingram, or Darrell Williams. If they take him off IR, do you even bother with his backfield? I would say you probably don't. Travis Homer with his ankle sprain, no practice leading up to being out for week 17. I don't think he's going to be a factor as long as Ken Walker and DJ Dallas are playing. Justin Jackson on the aforementioned Detroit Tigers, hip injury. He was inactive week 17, so it didn't help him, but it seems that the Bears defense cures everything else with Detroit running backs because DeAndre Swift only had 5 touches going into week 16, and he finally broke through. He had 15 touches in week 17, but he absolutely made the most of them. 11 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown on the ground, 4 catches and 39 yards, and another touchdown in the air, 27.7 count on PPR points, helping some people that kept the faith in DeAndre Swift. And Jamal Williams with his leg injury. He ended up playing, touched the ball 23 times and went for 144 on the ground, 13 through the air, and that'll work just fine. Hats off to him for scoring 15 touchdowns on the year and leading lots of teams to fantasy championships. Still going. Marlon Mack with a hamstring injury, hurt in the first quarter, didn't return. Latavius Murray and Chase Edmonds split with Latavius Murray getting more of the work. Marlon Mack's unlikely to play in week 18, so I would expect similar usage from the other two for the people that need to know those type of things. Damian Harris with his thigh injury, missed weeks 13 through 16, was back in week 17, got 12 total touches, expect him to be utilized next week with Ramondre Stevenson as the Patriots try to beat the Bills and get into the playoffs. Let's see. DeAndre Hopkins, talk about giving up on playing for Arizona. Injured his knee in practice on Friday, downgraded to out. Severity of the nature and severity of the injury is uncertain. Arizona maybe even should just opt to hold him out for the rest of the season. And we talked about Greg Dortch. He's definitely an interesting option, especially when Hopkins misses 10 targets this week, although he only caught 4 for 15 yards. Jacoby Myers re-aggravated his shoulder injury, so it's not really clear what we're dealing with here, but he was productive. 6 catches, 48 yards, and a touchdown. He says he's fine, but watch the practice reports and see what he's doing there to gauge how to approach him in week 18. Sky Moore with a hand injury, severity unclear. Just watch practice reports and be on the lookout for updates. Tyler Lockett gets the Tough as Nails award for his finger injury. He broke his finger, had surgery, missed 1 week, came back, injured his leg in week 17, and came back from that. So Tyler Lockett, do not draft him at your own peril. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter what the offense looks like. All he did this year was go 80 catches, just under 1,000 yards, and 8 touchdowns. That'll play just fine. Keeping the Seattle wide receivers going, Marquise Goodwin placed on IR, so he's donezo. Laquan Treadwell benefited from his absence, so to speak, but not really a consideration unless Lockett or DK Metcalf miss. Debo Samuel.
Treadwell was on the Seahawks.
Yeah, well, he had a little bit of love last week, and he got 2 catches this week. So he would be the one to benefit if either of those guys miss. Debo Samuel missed weeks 15 through 17 with his ankle and knee injuries. Could practice more this week, but he's almost assuredly out for the rest of the fantasy season. So I don't see him playing until the playoffs. I think it's going to be another like King Henry type deal where they get him out there once the games really matter for them. Jonnu Smith with a concussion. We know the deal. He's in the protocol. He was out week 17. Now he's week to week, so we'll see. Hunter Henry came back from his knee injury, so he played and did well in Jonnu Smith's absence. 5 catches on 6 targets for 52 yards. And see.
You can tell this book, well, first off, it's amazing for all fantasy sports, but it's clearly written almost more from a baseball perspective than it is a football perspective, since the doc did say the Detroit Tigers.
Did I? Oh, my God. Wow. Sorry, Detroit.
Baseball not here yet, Doc. I know we're saying we're done the season. It's time for best ball.
You can
baseball,
see where my mind is. It's like I got 4 more hours of fantasy football, and then I'm switching to baseball. But I appreciate the plug for the book. I also wanted to share that the audiobook will be coming out in 2023. So for those of you that don't have time to read, just think of it as like you listen to 4 or 5 podcasts, and it's not just going to entertain you for that week. It'll hopefully entertain and educate you for the rest of your fantasy career. So look for that announcement on Going for Two and on my Twitter page at TFSDoc. Audiobooks are the way of the future. I probably listened to 50 audiobooks this year. So really excited to get that off the ground and get that out to everybody. So
are you, is it your voice? Whose voice?
I'm going to narrate it. Yes. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a great idea.
Should I
hear your voice when I read it, so it would just seem natural.
I think it's a great idea. You should.
All right. Well, then there you go. So that's what we'll do.
All right.
And yeah, injuries matter, and they play an even bigger role than I thought. But there's no reason to give up hope. I had a team that lost Lamar Jackson, Tony Pollard, Cooper Kupp, and DeAndre Hopkins on one team, and almost made the finals on that team. So the book shows you how to anticipate, plan, pivot, and recover when injuries strike. Obviously, I have a bias, but my lovely and esteemed co-hosts hopefully don't. So if you don't listen to me and see the value in it because I tell you, then at least listen to them. And all the other people that have read it and reviewed it on Amazon, they love it. So hopefully it's something that can help you out too.
We might be a little biased, to be fair, because we do like you, Doc.
No, I'm not biased. I didn't say I like him.
Fair enough. There you go. There's your unbiased opinion.
There you go. Unbiased opinion.
In our unbiased opinion, you should use this promo code GF2 if you want to get that, again, deposit match up to $100 on Underdog. And talk about some Underdog, whether it's game lines or prop bets. We're going to talk about that to end, as we do every episode here on the 2-point conversion. So tonight's game, a big one for fantasy. We've already talked about some of the fantasy championship implications. Serious playoff seeding implications. I mean, the Bills right now, they've got a tiebreaker against the Chiefs, but essentially the same record, I think. So, like, if I believe if the Bills lose this, they fall to the 2 seed. And I mean, there's still a week to go next week to decide things. But if they want to be in that driver's seat for the 1 seed, they have to just win out. Because you can't, at this point, you can't bank on the Chiefs losing again. If you're the Bills. And if you're the Bengals, I don't think the 1 seed is alive, but they haven't clinched their division yet. So if they want to host a playoff game, and I know they play the Ravens next week, which I think will ultimately decide it. But I do think with the Ravens losing, the Bengals might be able to clinch the division tonight and just even forego next week.
I think if they win, they clinch the division tonight because the Ravens lost last night.
So both teams playing for a lot, even though both these teams are clearly thinking Super Bowl. But yeah, it's the Steelers being still alive in the playoffs as well. Doc, did I mishear you earlier? You said the Dolphins have nothing to play for?
No.
Okay, that was a different team.
I said the Cardinals have nothing to play for.
Yes, yeah, clearly. That's been a month.
The Dolphins are in a must-win next week, so they have a lot to play for.
Yeah, because the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Patriots, they're all 8-8, all fighting for that last playoff spot. So Bills, Bengals, it's a 50.5 higher, lower in terms of the underdog projection for this game, in terms of combined points, which I believe was the highest this week. Actually, did Lions Bears make it higher? I think it was close. I think it might have been 49.5. I think this was the highest.
I think this one started at 49.5, and the Lions and the Lions
Bears
started at 50. So I think the Lions started higher, but this one has reached higher.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Where's my Week 17 charts? Actually, the Bears Lions game started at 51.5.
Yeah.
While you're looking at that, I just want to touch on 3 guys for today's game.
Sure.
So Tyler Boyd's been dealing with that finger injury. He kind of re-aggravated it last week, although it looks like he's going to be active. Hayden Hurst practiced fully this week, so he's also expected to be active, the tight end for the Bengals. And then Stephon Diggs was kind of dealing with some sort of mysterious illness later in the week. He popped up on the injury reports on Thursday, but then he practiced fully on Friday. And he's expected to play as well. I haven't just checked. I haven't seen any announcements about anybody missing.
I think those guys are all active. Boyd, Hurst, Diggs, everyone's active and playing.
Yeah.
Any news on T. Higgins?
Oh yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I think so. It at least in relatively healthy final game here for championship. It doesn't seem like anyone's been out. There haven't been any questions you've had to kind of wait for Monday to find out. I think everything by this point has been resolved. I know Dan put the tweets together. It seems like with Diggs, so we can speculate food poisoning, nothing more serious than that.
I don't know. Who knows?
But yeah,
who knows?
We'll probably never know. But that's okay. But you can know what we decide to pick for tonight's games. So I think Dan, I didn't see yours, but did all of us go higher than the 50.5, or are you going lower?
Oh no, I'm still thinking about it, mate. I've been all over this. I've struggled.
Pulling a Kyle. He's pulling.
Well, he got his prop in. So we'll give him
credit
for that.
I got that a while ago, but this one's like, it's actually bothered me.
All right, well, Gladys.
Listen, high totals and home underdogs, like that's normally my jam, right? But I'm that's one of those things that just bucket.
Don't threaten him with a good time. All of us did go higher, so all of us are kind of convinced that this will be high scoring game, which is why Gladys is so nervous nursing a 20-point lead against Diggs. I'm nervous nursing 60-point leads. Like it's anything can happen in this game. So I think all of us are thinking that both these offenses are so good that they will hit the higher. Right? Is that what everyone else was thinking too? That as much as there's talent on these defenses, these offenses just operate at such a high level that they won't be able to stop them. You could slow them down maybe, but
I picked lower. I think what is it, week 17 now? I think I picked lower like 14 or 15 times out of the.
You have 3 hires all year.
Okay, so there you go.
And it's funny. It's been 2 of the last 3, like the last 2 weeks in a row.
I was like, let's just, it's like 2 explosive teams. I'm hoping for a shootout. Let's just have some fun, like let's go higher. Why not?
Hi, Mr. Scampers.
Hi, Mr.
Hi, Jay.
So now it's a podcast, Mr.
Now it's a party.
Now it's a stream.
I picked higher, and I think I'm the only one that picked the Bengals too.
I'm going to go with you there. Gladys, I'm going to go with you. Bengals, and I'm going to go higher.
All right. Now it's a party.
It's just I just love a home underdog with a high total. I love it. So, whatever.
Okay, so home underdog is Dan's reasoning. Gladys, do you think the Bengals will outright just win this game?
Yeah, I would go money line.
That's fun.
Okay.
That's fun.
I like Bills money. I like Bills money line.
It's almost a pick 'em anyway. What is it? 1.5?
2.5.
2.5.
2.5 now?
Yeah.
Well, that's better for you, right? If you'd rather have the Bengals at 2.5 than 1.5. So, with that logical reasoning, if you already think they're going to win, it makes sense to
go
with
money line. You know what? Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills and under.
You're the exact opposite. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Doc and I both picked the Bills. Are we thinking, Doc, that just the Bills are the better team compared to the Bengals, and that's why they're road favorites? And we buy into what the odds makers are saying with that.
Yeah, I think the Bills are that team. It's like underestimate them at your own peril. Like they still have a lot to play for, as you said. So that's not that the Bengals can't win the game. It's just I could see the Bills winning a close one.
What are the?
I think these are the kind of teams that they're going to have to beat, and if they're really serious about being Super Bowl contenders, like they're going to have to win these games. And the spread is not something that turns me off of it completely.
Are the Ravens only 1 win off?
I think so.
That's wild.
So the Bengals, if they lose this week, the division might come down to next week, I believe.
Ugh.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it?
The Ravens have just been garbage. Like,
well, I mean, in fairness,
I'm a massive Jackson fan, but like they've been tough to watch. Like,
well, no, that's true.
To think that they're like a 10-win team and they're one off the Bengals or something, that's just wild.
What did that mean?
Credit to John Harbaugh and the rest of the staff out there for kind of holding it together with no wide receivers, an injured starting running back. When their quarterback goes down, I mean they're holding it together with bubble gum, scotch tape, and harsh language. So you really gotta give them credit.
I want to go back to our previous segment, Doc, real quick, because you just gave me an idea. Dobbins and his injury. We're talking about Cam Akers. If you could draft either one right now, are you going Akers or Dobbins for next year? Obviously, again, by August, we may know more information. But at this point, what we know now, who would be your choice between the two?
It's a really good question. I think it's close, but I think I would go with Dobbins. And it just comes down to being a little bit further removed from his injuries and dealing with an ACL where we kind of understand the process of like what recovery looks like. And there's tons of players in the NFL who have come back from an ACL injury and been very productive and achieved their pre-injury level of functioning. I think the numbers it's greater than 85% where they achieve their previous level of functioning.
Achilles doesn't have that same.
Achilles is it's essentially 0. Like Cam Akers is the test case for this. So just based off of that and the proximity of the injury, with 2 years removed versus 1 year removed, I would take J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, well, Scampers and T's comments together. Is it Manic Monday or Mocking Monday? Because we're getting
Okay, you don't
harsh
even
language
want to
and
know why she said Manic Monday. It had nothing to do with football at all. It had to do with the Bengals song. So let that one go.
The Bengals, the band,
Right.
the Bengals.
The Bengals. Yeah, I told you didn't want to know, but you guys forced it upon me.
Like
Harsh language
Susanna,
and
like
stern.
Well,
Susanna
our video
Hawk
killed the
angle?
radio star, so what can we say?
Yes, exactly. Susanna Hawk.
Right.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure.
Nice, Doc.
Well,
I mean, I'm old Gladys, so you know. You got,
Yeah, but Susanna
my
Hawk's
thing.
one when he pulled out the Playboy model. There you go.
no comment.
okay. So J.K. Dobbins, I think I would agree, but I think they'll be pretty close in drafts. Is there anyone that's going Akers over Dobbins?
They're going to be in the same. They're going to be that third, fourth round turn to both of
There we
them.
go.
So there's a chance you could end up with both, right? So, that's going to happen.
That's true.
They're going to be in the dead zone. They're going to be in the dead zone.
Oh, this thing.
Don't draft
That's
anyone
what
in
he's
the dead
mocking,
zone. Don't do it.
He's
Don't
just
do
a
the dead
typical.
zone.
These guys are typical dead zone running
Don't
backs.
draft-
How many times
don't
we
Was
hear
it
that
Josh
coming
Jacobs,
this
a dead
year?
zone running back
Don't
this
draft
year?
him
And
in
look
the
at that.
dead
He's
zone.
RB1.
Yeah.
do
Hey,
it.
I'll tell you what. Guess who else was in the dead zone? Ezekiel Elliott. How did he do? Did pretty good, right?
Lot of touchdowns.
Everybody was shoveling dirt on him. I seem to remember somebody was like, "Oh, don't be so fast to discount Ezekiel." Oh, you're crazy.
Don't.
You're crazy, Doc. You're
Don't do
crazy.
it. Don't do it. Don't draft anyone in the dead zone. Don't do it.
Yeah.
It's a dead zone.
He's
You can't
done.
draft anyone.
Ezekiel Elliott
Between
is
round-
done.
You can't draft anyone between round 4 and round 12. You don't do it.
Just
Don't do
trade
it.
away all your picks.
Just
Never
trade
draft.
away everyone. Don't do it. You can't draft anyone. No running backs. RB dead zone.
Okay,
You
I
can't
think
do
we
it.
found out the answer of what
Get out
happens
of
to
here. Fucking
to
idiots.
B League like after we go off 5 minutes after we go off. 'Cause
Yeah, I know,
now,
right? We're past
now we're
8:15.
going in
This is the
overtime, and now we
hour.
see what it's
Well,
like.
it's funny. We haven't actually shared our props yet. Maybe we should do that.
All the hours of study, the data. And you know what? We're going to call it the RB dead zone. Don't draft Josh Jacobs. He's a bust. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
The RB dead zone.
Like draft, here's like just draft good players. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not a good player. Don't draft him. It's pretty easy. Josh Jacobs, pretty good player. Draft him. Like it's not a dead zone thing. It's a fucking good player thing. Fucking draft good players.
Draft
There
good
it is,
players.
right
You learned
there.
it, folks. That's the
Carry that
strategy.
forward.
Figure out players are
23
great.
right
Half
there.
them. Figure out players are bad.
Not a
Avoid
dead
them.
zone thing. It's a good player thing.
Here's
There you
my
go.
Here's my
He's a good
4,000
player,
word
draft him.
article. Here's my 4,000 word article on a dead zone running back. Don't draft him. Well, fuck. Like, what happens now? You're wrong. But I was right about the running back in the first round. Go fuck yourself. That's what happened.
Wow.
Well, not if you took Dalvin Cook in the first round. But anyway,
Pendejo.
Yeah, he did all right. He did. But he stayed healthy. I didn't
Okay
think that
now.
was going to happen. So.
You better?
this month has
You
not been
better?
great. But anyway,
You better?
well,
I feel great.
it's funny. We go back all the way to the start of the season. Sorry, Dan, to bring up the bad memories of the Dalvin Cook not hitting his over on the carries that one week. But that same week, though, we did actually have the Bills on. That was the doubleheader game. And in that Bills game, Doc and I both took Stephon Diggs higher than 72.5 receiving yards. Well, guess what? Doubling down, Doc, Diggs. Damn, I messed that up. Anyway, Doc went right back to that same prop.
Good
Basically the same. 73.5 receiving yards. So 1 yard extra. You're not scared of that extra yard, Doc?
No, let's go. Stephon Diggs. Let's go.
You say higher,
how many?
Doc, or lower?
Hoya. Let's go. Let's go, Stephon. One time.
Well, and
Two
Gladys
times,
went with a receiving prop as well. Jamar Chase this time, 6.5 receptions, and you went higher, Gladys.
That's a good one too.
That's a gimme.
I actually, I think he's hit it. I think I remember looking 8 games he's hit it that he's played in or something,
Yes.
and 3 games he's played in he hasn't hit it. So
And those
I
were
think
like
one of those
3
games was
innings rounds when he got hurt. So yeah, I feel very comfortable with that.
I know I was looking in on actually some of the rivals lines.
Yeah, there's some
And
good ones there. There's like a whole minute's worth. It's
Yeah, I
unbelievable.
know it was
that
crazy. It
level.
was just a long
Wow.
video.
Yeah.
2 that really stood out to me though was they had a running back versus a receiver with combined yards, and I thought that was interesting. Ultimately, I didn't go with either. I was tempted though. I think it was Singletary. What was it? It was like plus 32.5 total yards versus Chase. So giving having to be within 33 yards of Jamar Chase's total yard output. Ultimately, and part of my reasoning for that was because in 1-score games this year, just looking at Singletary's combined line for rushing and receiving yards, Underdog has it at 58.5. 9 games this year, the Bills have played a 1-score game. 6 of those games that were 1 score, Singletary hit the over. So only 3 not. So that's ultimately why I was leaning that way with the rivals with Chase, but then Chase's ability to get an explosive game, I thought, why bank on two things? Let's just bank on Singletary alone. So I went away from the rivals and just picked Singletary combined 58.5 receiving and rushing yards higher.
Oh, nice.
Hoping that if again the narrative, expecting to be a one-score game, and I think it should trend. It seems like Singletary's done better in the games where when it's close, whether they're winning or losing, they want him out there, whether it's running or receiving the ball. And they trust him more than they do other backs. If it's a blowout, then they'll throw in a lot more James Cook. So it seems like that trend, at least that's the trend I'm banking on. Dan, banking on Burrow, D-League Burrow. So what does D-League say about Burrow?
I really wish I put more thought into this. Look, against elite pass rushers, Joe Burrow's actually pretty nimble on the ground. But, you look at like Pittsburgh, he's had over 20, Dallas over 20. The last two times he's had over 20 rushing yards, it was Tennessee, Kansas. I actually went under 13.5. Look, Rousseau on one side, Oliver as well. I think they might get to him before he actually gets away. And look, this is probably the healthiest the team he's had in a while with Hurst back. Mixon's really firing as well. Chase and Higgins, they're all there as well. So how often he's going to have to get out of the pocket and scoot is another thing. But I think they just might get to him before he gets away. So I'm going to go off that. But I'm looking at it now, and I really should have looked the other way, but I'm going to stick to my guns and go Burrow under 13.5 rush yards.
I just want to shout out, regardless of what happens, the winner this year for our prop picking. So if we pick 3 times every week, the teams, this picking against the spread, picking the game higher or lower, and then picking a prop. Doc right now currently sits at 31, 17, and 3. Dan's in second place at 26, 21, and 4. So even if Doc gets 0 right and Dan gets all 3 correct, it's not enough to catch up. So Doc is the champ. Good job.
To be fair, he did hustle for a few of those results. I'm not going to lie to you. He went for some recalls. I nearly had Kyle a few times on some confusion bets. So it's okay. Nearly had him confused, and then Doc turns up on vacation from the Maldives to tell him he was wrong.
That's right. Yeah,
I was like, I'm in the clear here. I'm not going to say anything, but no.
It's all my fault, Jimmy. But it's funny that Doc kind of limped into it. You've gotten 2 props right over the last 2 weeks combined.
Brutal.
But that's been just enough to clinch it for you, right? Like 2-3 weeks ago was basically the point where we need Doc to just go 0 for 9 over the next 3 weeks, and we have a chance to catch him. But no, it's you had such a good early season stretch, and you never gave up the lead once. I think you went
just enough to get across the finish line. It doesn't like one of our greatest American actors, Vin Diesel, said. In
oh my God.
Wait, what are those movies that he's in?
Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious, thank you. It doesn't matter whether you win by an inch or a mile, winning's winning.
Great American actor. Okay, I think everyone can just forget Doc said that. And because he won, to send your money to the American Red Cross in honor of James Ferretti.
That's right. We were playing for charity.
Charity.
Everybody's got to make it. Everybody on the panel's got to make a donation to the American Red.
My charity. I actually. What was the agreed upon amount?
I don't remember if we had an agreed upon amount.
Let's do.
Man, we got to go back in the chat. I think maybe it was $25. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
Give whatever you're comfortable with. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. I'm sure. If
everyone donates $25 to the Red Cross, it's perfect. That'd be great.
I think if everybody donates something to the American Red Cross, they'll be very happy with that. But it was my pleasure to take part in that and to beat you all so thoroughly. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I'm just kidding.
And I think what I'm planning to do in a couple weeks is there is a Monday night playoff game. So I think I'm going to one of the things I want to do is actually break down the individual results of the 3, like who is better at picking the teams against the spread, who, not just the overall record, but who is better, lower, higher, who is better on the prop. So
do you want to break all that down? Can't you just look at it and see that I was better than you at all?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, fair enough.
Do we got to farm this out to the FBI forensics unit? I feel like you could just look.
What would he say?
Well, I think it might also.
He'd say the hubris on this guy. Look at him.
I was thinking it might just provide some info for the listeners. Okay, who was really good at who should we be listening to for props? Who should we be listening to for other things? Apparently, we should just listen to Doc though.
That would be my advice. I think
we should be listening to Swiss Miss on Friday nights for props.
That's right. You should listen to the person who really knows what they're talking about.
Do it right.
League on Friday nights with his with his prop betting show.
And then we should listen to Doc when he starts talking about people that have injuries and starts picking according to that, because clearly that's what gave him the upper hand. Doc.
It didn't hurt. And we should listen to Gladys whenever we start talking about the Beatles and Paul McCartney. And
fuck Paul McCartney.
Hey, Jude.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's almost the perfect way to end the podcast, isn't it?
Just wait before we end. Unless you got another promo you got to do.
Well, I was going to say, just like what Scampers was talking about, that apparently I inspired him to take the Singletary. This one was interesting. Knox receptions versus Boyd. I think it's even. So it's literally pick whoever you think will be the better one.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that. Oh,
we've been hacked. We've been hacked.
The porn bots are here.
We've been hacked. Someone got to check Jeff's email.
Porn bots have shown up. All right.
Someone got to check Jeff's email. What's he signing up to?
And then, Hayden Hurstback, Trent Irwin muddling the waters. I think that's to talk about like why he doesn't believe in Boyd as much.
Jeff.
Yeah. Well, Boyd still has the finger thing. He's going to be really tough to trust because he could re-injure it and go out at any time, or they could go away from him because they want to kind of have him out there as a decoy, but still give him the opportunity to go out there and rest up for the playoffs by not like focusing on him as much. But they want to win this game, so like if he's out there, I expect him to be productive, but he could still re-injure and be out. So that adds, that muddies the waters as well.
And then all you need is, if he gets hurt and has 0 catches, all you need is Knox to get 1 reception.
There you go.
So
yeah, and Knox has been playing really, really well. So that's I like that one.
I'll be honest. I guess if you want to get this rival in within 2 minutes, the rival that I was interested in was actually T. Higgins versus Knox in receiving yards, but it was going to be like Higgins minus 34.5. And my thinking is Knox's big games. I mean, he's had one game at I think 90 yards, and then the next highest was like 60. Whereas Higgins multiple games above 100. So if they both blow up, Higgins should cover that. Like if they both put up their max potential, Higgins should cover that 34.5 receiving yard spread easily. But do they both hit their ceilings is the question. So, and I guess the one last thing I want to end with, this was interesting, was we had 11 teams twice this year on the show. Bills are one of them. Broncos, unfortunately. Rams, unfortunately. Saints, unfortunately. Patriots. The Cardinals. But then we also got the Bengals twice, the Eagles twice, the 49ers twice, the Chargers twice. Oh, we got the Colts twice. That's more in the less desirable. We had 7 teams that we didn't talk about at all this year. 7 teams that weren't featured on Monday Night Football.
I tried this before. I can't do it again.
Yeah, I got you guys to guess.
I got close. I can't remember.
Well, we avoided the Texans. The Texans never played on Monday, so they were the worst team in the league this year. So I guess blessing for us. Atlanta, Carolina, but then we missed on some. I was going to say explosive offenses. I guess if Mike White's playing, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Lions. So we missed on some good teams, but again, we avoided the Texans. That might be the biggest. Scampers guessed it. Jags, Panthers. That 2 teams we never covered once. So
that's impressive.
Mr. Scampers paying attention.
Mr. Scampers is on it.
But yes, I appreciate everyone who's kind of tuned into us, watched us, whether it's live or after the fact, or listened to the podcast all year long. Super great, super appreciative. Glad that I could be here with all 3 of my co-hosts to end our season here. So we'll go around and just share final messages. So Gladys, did you want to go first, or did you want to go last?
I don't care. I can go first or last. Whatever, Kyle, you're the host. Whatever you prefer.
Well, go ahead, Gladys.
So I am most grateful for you 3 keeping, me kind of sane on Monday and helping me out on the questions that I ask in our chat that have nothing to do with anything we do on Monday, that you guys are always attentive and always helping me. I appreciate you guys more than you know. I appreciate the people that listen, come in every week, ask questions. Gator, Mr. Scampers, TV, who knows nothing about football, but
she's here.
But she's here, willing to put in her Manic Monday for the Bengals. And then, but most of all, I honestly really just appreciate being here. You know what I mean? Just being here, just being able to take a breath each and every day. And then on Mondays, I get to come in and have an hour, listen to all of you beautiful 3 men. And you guys are most giving. And I really, really am grateful for all 3 of you.
Oh, thanks, Gladys.
Thanks
Glad
so
to be
much,
here with
Gladys.
you every week. Dan, how about you? Anything you want to say, or do you want to rant? The final rant time. I mean, as well. Who wants to actually watch this football game?
What right? Listen, I'm appreciative of the 3 of you for putting out with my BS for 17 weeks of the year. Let's face it.
B-League Swiss? Is that what that stands for?
Listen, there's a lot of BS that comes with this young lad, but that's okay. Look, I think we should give a shout out to our fearless leader, Jeff, for finally hooking us up with a sponsor that actually gives back to us, like Underdog, promo code GF2, 100% made deposit up to $100, because without our sponsor, shows like this and mine, finally, after 5 years, you gave me my own freaking show. That's okay. It's not like we've been crawling for that for a while. He made me write 5,000 words a week for the past 6 years. No dramas. But I think it's one of those things where we can also say congratulations to the New York Giants for being the worst 8-7-1 team in the NFL. Very good. No worries. But in all fairness, I think thank you to everyone that tunes in and then puts in even a comment here or there that gives us 5 minutes of your time or an hour, doesn't matter, and just comes along for the ride. It's a bit of fun. We do something a little bit different. Obviously, we have the doc, and that's a different element to every show that Going for Two has, but
that's the best element of every show.
I can't think of another company that has a more diverse group of people Monday to Sunday. It's an incredible lineup that we have, and the growth that we have, in all fairness, I'll bring it back around full circle, is down to Jeff doing his homework and finding the right people to come in the company and do what's good for us and move us forward each and every week, because it can't be easy. It really can't be. And, you know, obviously we've made a big jump in a Discord, and obviously we had some mad success with that this year, and YouTube, with Twitter going out down the plunger. Like, you know, YouTube's
subscribe to Going for Two Live YouTube channel.
Yeah, hit the subscribe.
All off season, we're going to be having
that's it. Content. Like, we've had an incredible year. I believe I'm maybe Gerson or Ryan, but I'm our longest tenured guy, and I don't believe we've had a year as successful or fruitful as this one. And there is one guy that, you know, all fairness, Jeff cops a lot of shit from everyone, but you know,
you sure about that? Isn't just from you.
And by everyone, I think you mean
no, I don't want to get roped into that.
No. I'm bringing us all in on this.
I'm a good boy.
Of course, we're all at fault. We're all culpable. Thanks, Dan.
I just asked the questions nobody wants to ask, but I think collectively, I think he's been able to turn that into gold this year. He's had an incredible year, and I think we've had success all around. Whether it's the guys in Scott Fishbowl, we had an incredible showing in that, or the best ball guys, or the betting guys, or
DFS.
You know, just DFS guys. Like
I think they're doing some postseason DFS as well. Gerson, I think we're going to do wild card.
We have had some stupid success across the board, I think, on an individual level and a collective level. And you know, if this continues, like I say it every week, the Speak On It guys are probably my favorite show of all the podcasts. They're just funny as hell.
They're fantastic.
That show is ridiculous, and what they've been able to do this year.
And they'll be on tomorrow night, so watch.
Right. We hit, 300 episodes of the Armchair Show, right? That's an incredible milestone. 900 episodes total this year. Like, it's an incredible company. Like, I don't think they've got the respect it deserves yet, but it's coming. We're doing everything and going forward, and another big off-season from people like Kyle and Gladys doing their off-season work. It's just another step in the right direction for a group like this. It's really good.
And I have a new chair to do it in.
Yeah.
Gladys got a chair.
For you.
And again, I think part of that success is, again, everyone watching, tuning in. So just want to quickly shout out everyone who's watched tonight. So we got Gator, Scampers, T, of course, helping Gladys not out with the chair, but providing the comments and the support. Jay, former Going for Two family member, he hopped back in today, so appreciate that. Jay and I were actually in the Pros with Joes together, so he was a good co-manager. Appreciated that. Doc's team was better though, him and Stefania Bell, but the doctors are the doctors.
That's G-Man J. You and G-Man J teamed up.
Tim was in here tonight too, so yeah, shout out to everyone. But Doc, I'll let you doctor up your final doctorate.
Yeah. for
it won't take that long, I don't think.
Last episode. Yeah. So a few gratitudes. Grateful for health. Number one, they say if you don't have health, you don't have everything. Obviously, I'm a doctor. I have a bias, but I really believe that. Grateful for opportunity. Grateful for the opportunity to get into the Scott Fish Bowl. So hashtag thank you, Jeff. Grateful for the opportunity to play in the Pros with Joe's League that Kyle was just referring to with one of the people that I respect and admire tremendously in the industry, Stefania Bell, someone that I really looked up to. It was just a ton of fun to not only play on the same team, but to and run the team together, but to make the playoffs was tremendous.
Shout out to Eric Romoff for setting it up.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to Eric Romoff for running a great charity league. I mean, the league is tremendous. Shout out for everyone here at Going for Two, having the opportunity to work here and work with so many wonderful people. And for you out there, the audience, like we don't exist without you. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for, taking part in this and dialoguing with us and telling you what you need and for being there and for letting us talk to you every week. And you could do anything you want with your time and you choose to spend it with us. And we really appreciate it. Grateful for making new friends and growing closer with the ones I already have. And grateful for my co-hosts for allowing me to join their reindeer games 2.5 years ago. And it's been fulfilling, enlightening, and so much fun. So I hope everybody out there has gotten value from the show and from the injury analysis that I try to bring every week, try to keep it entertaining, but try to educate as well. So I'm wishing everyone here on this panel at Going for Two and out there in the audience a wonderful, happy, healthy, and prosperous 2023. And for those of you out there in the finals, good luck. And hopefully you take home those championships because that's really what it's all about. So that's it.
What happened?
Yeah, Tyler Boyd touchdown. Guy averages 7 targets a game against Tyler Boyd averages 7 targets a game against the Bills. So no problem.
Oh no! I had Jamar Chase first time touchdown. Fuck.
So now the team that has Allen and Diggs chasing me now has to score 100 that would be nice. 75 points. Okay, perfect. Good job, Tyler Boyd.
There you go. That might be the nail on the proverbial coffin.
To be fair, I won't even blame you, Scampers. Let's just blame Dawson Knox. And to be fair, I mean, it's a touchdown, but it's only one catch. I mean, Knox could come back and put up 2-3 catches and he wins the prop, right? So that's one that's not over till it's over. So
that's the spirit.
Oh, T saying good job all, but I will echo what everyone said. Great job, my 3 amazing co-hosts. You can follow us all on Twitter. Gladys is at Gladys L. Tyler. Dan's at the B League Says. Doc is at TFS Doc, which stands for the Fantasy Sports Doc. And I'm at Senra Says. I would say, as always, join us next week, but there is nothing next week. Like I said, I think 2 weeks from now, which will be January 16th, there'll be a Monday Night Football game. So I think we're potentially planning a pregame show like we do Mondays here. But the off-season programming awaits us here on the Going for Two Live Network. So again, subscribe on YouTube, join our Discord because that's not stopping. Tons of people joined us before the season, and that they'll continue to get great content all throughout the off-season. So on behalf of the Doc, of the B Leagues, Swiss Miss, Thomas Tank Engine, Promo Pimp, Dan Says, B League guy, dude, bro, yo, in the book, of course, and Gladys. Let's say the best for last. Had to say the best for last, right? It's Dan, then the book, then Gladys. That's in terms of. Sorry, Dan. Your Giants made the playoffs, so you've got all that.
I made 7-1. It's okay. It's okay.
There were hot
Happy
girls
New
here,
Year,
and
everyone.
Zach was not disappointed. Yes, my nice hot girl beard.
Okay.
And that means the show's off the rails. So we're gonna end, folks. Yeah. Again, on behalf of Doc, Dan, Gladys, I'm Kyle. Sandra says,
Happy New Year's, everybody. Yeah. Have a good one. Happy New Year. Be yourselves. Don't make any stupid resolutions.
Don't listen to Zero. Don't listen to Dead Zone RB truthers. Never listen to them again. Never. The Dead Zone doesn't exist. We're all dead inside.
Bye, guys.
That's the best way to kill the stream. Let's do it. See you.